Good afternoon. Thanks for joining us again. Let's jump right into the dashboard. Want to get you up to date on some of our data points. 4,868 confirmed COVID-19 related cases over the course of these last several months. The county is currently monitoring 246 active cases and 7 individuals are hospitalized. We, thank goodness, have not seen additional deaths or any individuals succumb to the disease in several weeks now. 153 individuals have succumbed to the disease since we began tracking. And the region remains at 1% infection rate. In fact, if you look at statewide numbers, that is even slightly lower. And I'd offer that the Hudson Valley region is, I think most counties are below 1, with 1 or 2 that are a little bit above. So we're staying right where we wanted to be. We have flattened the curve, slowed the transmission, and that 1% infection rate is basically where we need to be in order to continue opening and sort of functioning with a sense of normalcy. We have seen since last week a slight drop in hospitalizations. Last week we were in the neighborhood of 12 individuals hospitalized. As businesses expanded opening, and we'll talk about a couple seasonal activities that now will open up over the course of the next couple of weeks, and as people had traveled and come back home to New York, we did see some increased cases, and you're going to see that, right? Some schools are reopening with some hybrid model. We have several districts that have in-person classes beginning as soon as I think next week or the week after. So we are going to see some transmission. You will see some case increase. Hopefully not much increase in hospitalization for the individual and for our hospital system. But when you look at that sort of rolling average, that 7-day average, the goal here is to keep that positivity rate down to 1%, and to not see a trend of increases. If you have a question today, please add it. Simply type it to the comment section below the live feed. Kathy asks, are Vassar and Marist COVID statistics included in Dutchess totals? The answer is yes. If you are a individual living on campus or off campus going to college in this county, you are counted if you have tested positive. Now, I will say this up front. Our colleges have been doing a tremendously good job reinforcing the expectation. We do expect that students do as much as they can. In fact, many are following the expectations, but we want to be sure that students are following those guidances so that we can keep from seeing any spike, in particular in hospitalizations. But only a handful of positive cases identified at Marist College. Again, all responsive. We have a rapid response team from Dutchess County's Behavioral and Community Health working directly with the colleges. Vassar had, I think, a dozen positive cases. Again, all controlled transmission, all controlled individuals quarantined and isolated, and we are not seeing any widespread impact at the moment at any one of our colleges. We do ask students to be respectful. Again, please, engaging in parties and what have you, just not the time to be doing that. We are asking you to be as considerate and sensitive to the guidance as possible. So, again, very good signs. Infection rate is low. Case number is relatively stable over this last 14 days, and transmission rate remains at 1%. We do remind you, please, again, basic personal hygiene, engage in that physical distancing that we've all talked about, and wear a face covering or mask if you are able. A couple updates. As you know, the travel advisory established by New York, New Jersey, and Connecticut remains in effect. The states, the 3 governors added the states of Alaska and Montana, I think, back on the list. They once were, and then they weren't. Interestingly, if you look at, and we're just looking at trends moving forward, a couple of those states, if they continue on the trend path that they're on now, would be removed from that list as soon as next week. So continue to watch for that. But again, We do ask that you adhere to those travel guidances. If you've traveled to any one of those states, remember the state of New York is requiring you to complete a form that identifies that you've made that trip, and of course, you're required to quarantine for 14 days. So if you have questions, please simply write them in the comment section below the live stream. Happy to get to as many as we can. Yesterday, the governor announced lifting of restrictions on some tourism-related activities, very important to us. That is a very cute child in that photograph. Is it one of ours? It's not one of mine. I didn't know if it was some but anyway. Some guidance changes and some relief from restrictions for fall-related businesses. Farm tourism activities are deemed low risk and therefore can operate up to 33% capacity. Apple and pumpkin picking and other pick-your-own locations, they're asking, of course, that you don't eat the product on site and that you dispose of products off-site. So, but apple picking, pumpkin picking, which is good. Many of our farms benefit from that, and I can tell you I've been to several of our local farms during both strawberry and blueberry season, and they have all, I think, really performed very, very well and have taken on the challenge of keeping things safe. In fact, you'll see that if you go out apple picking, and that is sort of a rite of passage in upstate New York. I know that some people have said they're not going if they've got to wear masks and what have you, but please be sensitive to those farms. They're all trying to stay afloat. Farming remains one of our more challenged industries, but thanks to a lot of hard work among young farmers, longstanding farm families throughout Dutchess County, farming still remains our largest collective industry when you include agritourism. So, apple and pumpkin picking proceeds. No concerts or party-like activities, but petting zoos, etc. But again, some of our farms have all accommodated by drive-through or drive-by. Farms can sell product on site and offer food. And interestingly, wagon rides, haunted hay rides are allowed to try to maintain social distancing. So limited capacity in some of those activities. Corn mazes allowed. Which I'm sure there are a handful of jokes having to do with a corn maze, but I'll stay away from them. And haunted houses, of which we have a few, can function at 25% capacity. Now, I'd offer to you that based on that, we think that there are other businesses that pose equal or less risk that we're hopeful will reopen. We are again. These kind of fall activities can open. We don't have any updates on theaters, cinemas, what have you, or indoor wedding venues. But again, if you use even this as an example, these fall businesses, we think at limited capacity, theaters and wedding and sort of event venues should be able to function and be open safely. We'll continue to advocate for that. We don't have any update as of now, but we think, again, based on the state already approving businesses that, quite frankly, pose equal or greater health concern and risk of transmitting the disease, that these businesses are more than able to function now. Gyms are open, as you know, and that is what we have on updated business activity. Last week I talked about wanting to talk through some voting, what your voting options are. So we said we would kind of go through that today. The 2020 election, very consequential, obviously, from president down to county court and local legislative offices, state legislative offices. You have three options this year. You can vote via absentee ballot, and I'll talk a little bit about that in a moment. You can vote early, and early voting in New York begins on October 24th through November the 1st. You'll see on the screen that these are the hours of operation. Again, October 24th to November 1st, you can early vote, and there are locations, poll sites across Dutchess County that are open for early voting. You do not need to live near that site. So any resident, any voter in Dutchess County can choose any one of the following locations for early voting: the Fishkill Town Hall, Rhinebeck Town Hall, Millbrook Firehouse, Dutchess County's Board of Elections offices here in the city of Poughkeepsie, or the Boardman Road Branch Library. library. And those locations are available to you. You can vote at any one of them, and that is, again, from October 24th until November 1st. Of course, you can also vote in person on Election Day. Election Day is Tuesday, November the 3rd, and you would vote at your ordinary poll site. If you have questions looking for your poll site, or you want to know where your poll site is, visit elections.duchessny.gov. Elections.duchessny.gov. And again, so to recap, and I'll explain the absentee ballot options. You can vote absentee. You can vote early, October 24th through November 1st, at any one of several locations across the county. Or you can vote in person on Election Day, Tuesday, November 3rd. And polls are open from 6 a.m. till 9 p.m. on Tuesday, Election Day, November the 3rd. So, with absentee balloting, this is our version of mailing in your ballot, and I know that sends off lots of dialogue and conversation, but I can tell you that New York State, and in particular Dutchess County, and our Board of Elections has been managing absentee balloting for quite some time. It is as secure as you're going to get. And there is a significant amount of checks and balances that exists here within the Board of Elections. Believe me, they're on top of each other, making sure that ballots are the integrity of the ballot is preserved. Now, for this November election, you must apply. If you wish to vote absentee, you have to apply for an absentee ballot. You can apply online, and you can apply at elections.duchessny.gov. So if you wish an absentee ballot, for those of you, using the language, if you want to vote via mail or absentee ballot, you go to elections.duchessny.gov and you complete your absentee ballot application. You can also do that via mail and or stopping by and picking up an absentee ballot application and then a ballot at the Board of Elections. But we want you. It is quickest and most logical to do that online. Elections.duchessny.gov. So when you get your absentee ballot application, when you fill that out, you're going to be mailed a very large envelope. It looks like this. So after you've applied for your absentee ballot, you will then be mailed an envelope that looks like this. Inside that envelope will be 2 more envelopes and a ballot. Notice I don't have the ballot because it's not yet ready. They get finalized and printed closer to Election Day, right? So you will receive an actual ballot, an absentee ballot in the mail. It'll come in this manila-colored envelope. You then will see internally the absentee ballot in these envelopes, and you can see they're slightly different. After you've completed your ballot, and remember, vote for one, unless it's otherwise noted, you're voting for one candidate for any one of these offices. If you happen to go to the ballot and you happen to fill in the box for Joe Biden and then another box for Donald Trump, neither vote. The vote does not get counted. So you can only vote for one of those. There could be an office where there's multiple offices. Remember, read the ballot, complete very carefully filling out that box for the candidate of your choice. But just be very careful of that so that, again, your vote is counted, right? The difference is if you go to the ballot box and you go to election poll site, if you overvote or the machine advises at times that's occurred. So, again, fill out the ballot. You will then insert your ballot in this secure envelope, and it's secure in that it's 1, sealed, and 2, dated and signed. This means, yes, in fact, I am sending you my absentee ballot. You're then inserting that ballot inside this envelope, and then this envelope in an external envelope that gets mailed to the Board of Elections. The Board of Elections gets this, will open your envelope, will then confirm that there's a signature and that it basically matches the signatures the signature of the voter, and then your ballot is removed without noting without anyone noting how you voted. It is secure, it is safe, and it's fun too. Voting is fun. But those are your options. At the end of this town hall, if you want to stay on and follow us on Facebook as we conclude today's town hall, there's a brief video that the Board of Elections here in Dutchess County has developed. You can see one of the employees, one of the staff at the Board of Elections kind of walk you through with a little bit greater detail. But those are the 3 options, and they're all safe. If you want to vote in person, please feel free to do so. Remember, as you vote in person, whether it's early voting, again, October 24th to November 1st, or in person on Election Day, November 3rd. Be prepared for social distancing. Be prepared to wear a face covering or mask. And be prepared to wait a little bit. Don't expect that it's going to be as quick as as quick as it usually is, which may or may not be quick for you. But it is so critically important that you participate. We really, obviously, I don't need to be the one encouraging you, although I do. No matter who you support, it's important that you show up and be counted. I'll also tell you, and I've said this before to folks, even if you go into the ballot box and you don't like any of the candidates, having completed a ballot and skipping a candidate or two because you don't really want to vote for any, people like me pay attention to that. We acknowledge that, wow, 100 people showed up, but I only got 50 votes. Where did the other 50 go? Well, it's a sensitivity to the fact that, you just might be distraught and you don't want to vote for anybody. But that said, we are encouraging you to show up either by absentee or in person to vote in this November's election for your candidate of choice. It's very, very critical. It is the foundation of this democratic republic, and for that, I hope we can continue to support your efforts to get out to vote. So if you have questions, again, visit elections.duchessny.gov. Also important is being counted, and we are in the midst of the 2020 census. The United States Constitution mandates that the U.S. government conducts a census of all individuals living within the United States. We are in the midst of that 2020 census count. Dutchess County's Complete Count Committee, led by John Penny and a diverse group of folks throughout Dutchess County, engaged in making sure you're counted. If you have not yet completed your census documents or census information, please visit 2020census.gov, 2020census.gov. Very important that you be counted. Why? Federal dollars are distributed to important projects from infrastructure to social services based on population. And of course, the appropriation of congressional, state legislative, and local legislative seats, all carved out based on population. And we want to be sure that every Dutchess County resident is counted. So please do participate. If you've not yet done that online, you can visit 2020census.gov. It is possible that a census worker may come to your home to ask you the number of people who live there. Remember, all of the information, one, it's very limited in the number in the information they're asking. It's very basic demographic information, and all of that is protected by law. And in fact, if a census worker were to divulge any of that information, they are subject to penalty and prosecution, just as a reference. So it is safe, regardless of who you are. It is safe. So please be counted. We want to make sure that Dutchess County has every one of our residents, everyone who calls this community home, counted. Diana, if you apply for an absentee ballot, then you decide you want to vote in person, can you bring the ballot to the polling place? The short answer is you shouldn't do that. What you should do is if you're going to, if you apply for an absentee ballot but you choose to vote in person, simply go to the poll site to vote. You don't necessarily bring your ballot with you. You go to the poll site, and then they'll give you the ballot that goes into the scan machine. Now, for your own sake, if you choose to vote absentee, if I'm giving you advice, I would fill out your absentee ballot. I would be prepared to mail it in, and then if you change your mind, right, then go to the poll site. And just as a reference, there is no way you get counted twice. If you happen to vote absentee, there's an envelope with your name on it, and then you happen to show up at the poll site and actually check in, that gets cross-referenced. So if you, I don't want to say me, then someone will quote me, if you vote absentee and then you show up to you vote in person, your in-person ballot will be counted, your absentee ballot will not, and that'll be acknowledged based on the conflict. So your best option, again, to that question is, if you complete your absentee ballot but change your mind, simply go to the poll site and vote, and the election workers will provide you that ballot. And please, to vote in person. And please, if you have questions, visit election.duchessny.gov. Elections, plural, .duchessny.gov. If you have any other questions, please write them in the comment section below. Happy to get to as many as we can today. James, what youth sports are allowed. Most youth recreation sports are currently permitted. High contact sports are not. So currently, non-contact training and drills are permitted for instance, basketball and football and contact lacrosse. Most other sports can function in the state of New York now. I coach my son's soccer team. Your soccer can play, but as far as high school athletics, similar limitations. Non-contact sports basically can begin in the month of October, I think, and then some of those contact sports are still being postponed. And keep in mind, I know we spend a lot of time, saying, the governor should do this or the state or government should do that. And there are still citizens, residents, who don't necessarily are still uncomfortable, and some of that has to do with sports activities, right? They may not want a student may not want to play, and then they'll be forced to have to make that kind of decision. But nevertheless, right now, low risk sports, which is a good number of them, are permitted. Baseball, soccer, non-contact lacrosse, field hockey, swimming apparently, and others. You can visit duchessny.gov and visit our COVID tab, and you can get some updated information. So Chairman Greg Pulver and I, Greg Pulver, the chairman of the Dutchess County Legislature, and I announced this week the front line. We're acknowledging and recognizing individuals who have gone above and beyond during this pandemic, whether it's a business or an association, a family, or an individual. We are unveiling the Dutchess Frontline Award. We're asking residents, businesses, anyone in the community, if you have someone that you think is worthy of being acknowledged for their service during this pandemic in whatever capacity. It could be the tow truck driver that went out of their way to be of some help. It could be the cashier, the cashier at a grocery store who maybe really went above and beyond, the family checking in on a senior, some organization that donated or raised funds, masks or PPE. Please feel free, visit duchessny.gov/DuchessFrontline, duchessny.gov/DuchessFrontline, and nominate someone to be acknowledged. This is not a competition. If that individual is worthy of recognition, though, and you've nominated them, we'd like to present them with the Dutchess Frontline proclamation acknowledging their service, and we'll be doing this in concert with the Dutchess County Legislature. So individuals, families, businesses, organizations, all worthy of some recognition, who really have gone above and beyond these last several months. We want to be sure we say thank you, and this is our simplest way of extending our appreciation to those who really have been of great service these last several months. Number of we begin September, which is the meteorological beginning of fall, I'm told. But I want to acknowledge that September is National Preparedness Month. It's important in case of emergency to always be prepared, and of course we've lived through our fair share of emergencies. Whether it's the storm events we've had over the last couple of weeks or a public health crisis like this pandemic, we've all kind of learned to be a bit more creative, a bit more resilient, and we've also been challenged, unlike any challenges we've seen before. So we are thankful to those in emergency response who work every day to keep us focused on being prepared, but you should also make your plan and be prepared in case of emergency. So it's not only storms and weather events, it's fires and floods, and of course what we've experienced as COVID-19 pandemic. It's important to have a plan, have a kit of supplies, and be ready to go when necessary, and be safe. It could be as simple of reminding your kids what to do in case of a fire, what they need to do to leave, where you might meet in order to be safe. Or what to do in case of a tornado advisory, which we've had several of. I can tell you that my wife and children were in the corner of her basement watching television when I came home during this last tornado advisory. So it's steps like that. Dutchess County's Department of Emergency Response, in partnership with the Department of Behavioral and Community Health, conducts citizen preparedness training. We actually led the state in the number of classes we conducted and the number of individuals we trained over these last couple of years. I want to thank our team for doing that. Very, very important. And we've provided some basic information. And you can always visit duchessny.gov. Nancy, if you choose to vote early, do you need to bring some form of ID? The way New York State conducts voter identification is based on signatures. So, Nancy, you would acknowledge who you are, where you live. There's a tablet. So if you vote early and your name is Nancy, they'll say, Nancy, what's your address? You'll say, Nancy, it's 123 Main Street, Poughkeepsie, New York. They will that information will pop up on the tablet in front of them. You will then sign your name, and they will validate that information based on your signature, which is important to note. If your signature's changed over the years, that could cause an issue. So you want to be sure that you know that. That's how they validate that information. There is not an identification required in New York State. That's how they validate that basic information. And frankly, they are able to do that using a tablet that is connected to a countywide database. So no matter where you go of those polling sites, when we pull those up, those early voting sites, they'll be able to search the countywide database. So if I happen to be in Fishkill on October 25th, I can go to the Fishkill Town Hall. I will input Mark Molinaro. They will pull up that my address is in Red Hook, New York, and then I will sign that tablet and can conduct my vote. That is all you need to do, and it is safe and secure, and those are your options. If you have other questions that you'd like to add, please simply write them in the comment section below. I want to update you on a couple announcements we've made this last week. First, it's okay. We're having a sign language interpreter trade. It's quite all right. So want to announce that this week we have launched our COVID Child Care Relief Scholarship. This is by leveraging federal assistance. Dutchess County. Welcome back. Thank you. Dutchess County launched our Child Care Relief Scholarship. We recognize the challenges that many people face, and I know somebody is out there saying, well, if schools open up, yes, if schools open up, parents may not need the same level of child care, but those are decisions that get made by school districts within the state guidance. We are trying to provide assistance to families. Never been more of a challenge in these last few months, and it will continue to be over the next few months. So Dutchess County's Child Care Relief Scholarship is by leveraging federal dollars through the CARES Act and our Community Development Block Grant Program. We're partnering with the Child Care Council of Dutchess and Putnam, and we're awarding October 1st through the end of the academic year grants or scholarships to assist families. Again, it's based on income, and if you visit dutchessny.gov, you can see that information to cover 75% of the daycare, in essence, tuition costs. So it's all based on income and numbers of individuals in your family. It is for whatever hybrid or permanent model of childcare that you need from October 1st through the end of the school year. We have approximately $200,000 that are available to us. So we're going to try to be as helpful as we can. I would ask if you're at home and you do have a child care a challenge. Again, this is not the kind of scholarship or program where we can subsidize everyone at 100%. So if you have alternatives that you can make use of, and this could be something to augment that, that's really a good way of addressing it. If maybe, fortunately for you have a family member who can cover a day or two, and this is daycare perhaps for alternating days or different, please consider those things. I know that this is a challenge, and I know that families struggle. Believe me, I know it. We have 4 children at our house. My wife is running a full camp regularly. I'm fortunate in that sense. There are families that, like my mother when I was younger, who actually provided daycare, and we saw families coming and going. So I can only tell you that we recognize the challenge. We're trying to be of some assistance, and our Child Care Scholarship is a tool that we hope will help families really struggling to identify child care and daycare options. So visit dutchessny.gov, and again, we'll start awarding those scholarships in October through the end of the school year to help families struggling. And there's little question, daycare remains one of the biggest challenges for families. It also is not only a financial burden, but it does deny a spouse, principally and almost overwhelmingly women, limited in accessing the workforce because of lack of child care. We want to, again, try to be of some assistance and create those opportunities. Patricia, what should I do if I changed my address regarding voting? Well, you should alert the Board of Elections. Now, again, off the top of my head, I don't know if you can update your registration at this point. I feel like you still can. So visit elections.duchessny.gov. If you've changed your address ever, now, you are supposed to update your driver's license. If you update your driver's license, you have the means of updating your elections information automatically. But if you've changed your address, please update that information with the Board of Elections. Visit elections.duchessny.gov. You'll be asked to update that information. So you do have to update your voter registration. If you hadn't gotten around to doing that and you show up at the polling site, and you're not in the book, so to speak, because you've changed your address, you can request an affidavit ballot, and you should ask for that. You should say, listen, I moved from Poughkeepsie to Red Hook. I thought I updated it. I clearly didn't, but I don't want my vote to be ignored. So I would like an affidavit ballot, and you're to be provided that affidavit ballot. It's basically an in-person absentee ballot where you'll fill out that information, and then they will verify that you are who you say you are, and your ballot will get opened when they open those paper ballots. But we don't want you to lose that opportunity. In the meantime, though, you should update your voter registration forms to include your new address if you've changed your address. So that's the option that you have. Again, visit elections.duchessny.gov. When do absentee ballots get mailed out? Well, they will start being mailed out in the next couple weeks. So you'll receive that on or around beginning September 21st, right? September 21st. That works, right? September 21st. So you'll start receiving those ballots. So based on when you make that application, you then will begin receiving the ballots after September 21st. And you want to keep an eye out for that. Again, if for some reason you don't receive your ballot, don't wait until the last minute. In fact, if you wanted to, you can reach out to the Board of Elections. If you're getting nervous, you could always vote early, but make sure you're on top of that. We don't want you to lose that opportunity. And that information can be found at elections.duchessny.gov. We had a great Office for the Aging picnic yesterday, our Office for the Aging and Think Differently picnic, a great success. I want to thank our partners who were there, Assemblymember Dee Dee Barrett, Senator Sue Serino, and the New York State Comptroller, Tom DiNapoli, helped out. I want to thank the Think Differently team. We served over 700 individual meals yesterday in Rhinebeck. Thanks to them. I want to thank Mayor Gary Bassett, who came out to help out yesterday as well. But beyond the elected officials, we have a great volunteer group, very grateful. And I'll be very candid. You'll see people running for office. You'll see volunteers through Office for the Aging. And yesterday, you would have seen our Think Differently Army out helping out. We provided meals to seniors and those with developmental disabilities, and we're very happy to be able to do that. Now, our last lunch is tomorrow, Thursday. That is our last lunch, and it is in Wingdale, New York, in Dover. And it's funny, a number of people asked if we were going to have one in Eastern Dutchess. We have a few. This one will occur again tomorrow in Wingdale in the town of Dover. So look forward to that. If you have a question, write it in the comment section below. Otherwise, I want to acknowledge that we continue a focus on opioid use, and this county has perhaps among the most comprehensive services for drug use, addiction, and we are very grateful to the Department of Behavioral and Community Health and all those in local government and county government who have been very, very helpful in providing direct assistance. And the issue with addiction is a lifetime struggle that we really want to be there to help as we can. August 31st was International Overdose Awareness Day, and we continue to acknowledge and recognize that really the public health crisis and true emergency that opioid addiction is. Now, if you're interested, you can get Narcan training safe and easily. We continue to provide Narcan training in Dutchess. We see people using it all the time. I will tell you that Many people ask, well, why do we have to keep using Narcan? It's the same reason we continue to respond to any other emergency, and that one time we use it could be the time we get somebody back on the road or on the road to recovery, and it's very, very critical and important. But if you're interested in getting Narcan training, you want to email our education coordinator, Lori Levine. Lori is available to provide training and a free Narcan kit to you. That email address, actually go to duchessny.gov/Narcan, duchessny.gov/Narcan, and it's L Levine, LLEVINE at duchessny.gov to schedule a training or to sign up for one of our monthly virtual training of Narcan use. We're very grateful to all of them. So if you have a question, if there are no other questions, I think we've covered most of our topics today. As a reminder, you have 3 options on how to vote, and we're going to actually close today's town hall meeting with a video from the Board of Elections. There are 3 options of voting this year. You can vote via absentee, and we've explained how to do that. Visit elections.duchessny.gov to sign up. You can vote early, October 24th through November 1st, at any of the following locations, poll sites. You can see them here. Over my shoulder, the poll sites there. You can vote at Fishkill Town Hall, Rhinebeck Town Hall, Millbrook Firehouse, the Dutchess County Board of Elections here in the city of Poughkeepsie, and the Boardman Road Branch Library for early voting, or you can vote, and that's in person, so be prepared, that's anywhere in the county, or you would vote at your traditional polling site in person on Tuesday, November 3rd, elections.duchessny.gov. Thanks for joining us again. We're going to close with a video. In the meantime, stay safe, stay healthy, and be kind to each other.
Greetings from the Dutchess County Board of Elections. Today we're going to discuss the important steps all voters should take to ensure their mail-in ballots get counted. When you receive your ballot in the mail, there will be 3 important items in the envelope. First is the ballot. Second is the oath envelope, and third is the return mail envelope. The first step is to read the instructions on your paper ballot and cast your votes by selecting the correct number of candidates in each contest and completely filling in the oval next to their name with a pen or pencil. Avoid making any stray marks, erasures, notations, or corrections on your ballot, because that could cause your vote to be rejected. If you make a mistake on your ballot, you should spoil your ballot and contact the Board of Elections for a new one. The second step is to place your ballot into the oath envelope and make sure the envelope is sealed. Do not place any other materials, such as notes, Post-its, or any foreign objects into your oath envelope. Doing so could cause your ballot to be rejected. Make sure the envelope is securely sealed. One of the most common mistakes voters make is failing to seal this oath envelope. If we receive your ballot back and it is not sealed in this oath envelope, we cannot count it. Third, you will sign and date the oath envelope. Make sure you are signing it on the correct space. You are not required to have a witness sign this envelope unless you are physically unable to sign. Try your best to sign with your official signature. You want this signature to match the one on your voter registration card as closely as possible to avoid challenges. Now your ballot is ready to mail. Place it in the return envelope and seal this outer envelope as well. Make sure that you attach the correct postage. The last day to put your ballot in the mail is the day of the election. The best way to make sure that your ballot is not late is to put it in the mail without delay. Remember, your ballot must be signed, sealed, and mailed on time in order to count.